Notice that Paul says, we who are wretched and wicked by faith have access obtained by a faith entrusted through a grace received. Year after year during Passover, you know this to be true. In the Old Covenant, the high priest would go in and make sacrifices, but what kept everybody on the outside from seeing what was going on the inside was the veil of the curtain. There was a tremendous veil, and an ornate veil, and indescribable really in large part in our minds of what this actually looked like. It's not like a veil that is put over a bride's face, although there is some comparison to the typology there. It's an enormous veil. And really, the only thing that the people knew on the outside was what the priest would tell them once they came out, this sense of their sins being absolved by what was happening behind the veil. The sacrifice was being made. The blood was being poured out. It was really in large part the high priest's duty to be a butcher. That's what he was. If you read the Old Covenant and read through what he was told to do, it was not a pleasant scene. In fact, it was a dawning scene, a holy scene and a wretched scene, and a scene in which would unsettle us probably to see it unfold before our eyes today. But all of this happening behind the veil, unseen from those outside of what was happening on the inside. But then once hostility had ceased, there was the recognition and the symbolism that God had forgiven the sins of those on the outside by what had happened on the inside. And the beauty of the cross is this, that through the incarnation of Christ hanging on the cross, when the veil of the curtain was torn at the crucifixion and it was opened up, it gave us access to see what God's intentions were behind the veil. It was to allow us access to God. We no longer have to have one who mediates or arbitrates on our behalf and then comes back to us in human form to tell us what God has said on our behalf by virtue of our bringing our sacrifices to Him. No, we see God's intentions in the person of Christ, and we have access to God now by faith. That's what Paul's writing about here. The Jewish mind would have gone back to that place, the moment of crucifixion, and seen the sense of peace and access that we have to God. And notice what this access does for us in grace. Paul says it causes us to stand. You know who is incapable of standing? Those who are guilty.